Thank you. It's a great pleasure to be here today with all of you. My name is Bogo, and as you already found out, I'm a security researcher. To put it more, do you hear me well? Okay. To put it more simply, I'm the guy who analyzes smart contracts and make sure that to find the vulnerabilities in them. Those are bugs that can lead to loss of funds, denial of service attacks, or anything that can cost the integrity of the protocol. My task is to find them and fix them and make sure they cannot be exploited. I've been part of the blockchain industry for the past 5 years. I started as a web developer doing decentralized applications. And about 3 years ago, I pivoted into the security aspects of this. I started with bug bounties, with competitions, I'm sorry. And eventually I started winning them and placing in the top spots. Then I did bug bounties. And eventually I focused entirely on working with protocol teams directly and helping them make their contracts more secure. And more recently, I joined as a full-time lead security researcher at Certora, where I have the privilege, and this is not an overstatement, to work with the biggest protocols this industry has to offer. We're talking billions of dollars of value that get to be secured every day. And throughout this whole journey that I just described, I work with more than 100 protocol teams, which allowed me to observe an issue, which is that sometimes protocol teams don't have a proper understanding of the security landscape. What are the different types of security services they can use to secure their protocols, how each service works, what is the proper time in their security lifecycle, how to use it, and how to combine those services to produce more secure code and more efficient use of their security budget. All of this is the inspiration for the topic for today's talk, which I called the trifecta of blockchain security. What you see here in the right are the three pillars of modern day Web3 security. You have private audits, security competitions, and bug bounties. All of those combined are what are the three pillars of the security lifecycle of a protocol. In the next few, in the next few slides, I'm gonna talk about each of those elements, explain how they work, what they do, what type of security challenges they're meant to solve, and then how to combine them to produce the best security outcome for your code and the most efficient use of your budget. So we start off with private audits. This is the most widely used and common service. Here, a team hires another team of security researchers to audit their code base. Normally, it's between 2 to 4 people. The task of the security team is to find as much issues in the code base as possible, and at the end of the audit to submit a security report. This report contains all the uncovered vulnerabilities, along with recommendations on how to fix them, and then recommendations on how to make the code better, more efficient, and better structured. Once that is done, the protocol team has to fix all of those issues. And in the end, there's a final follow-up review that makes sure the code fixes and all code recommendations were implemented properly and the team can deploy safely. The other type of service are competitions. The difference from private audits here is that it's a public format. So a protocol announces publicly that they want to host a public competition, and they also determine a prize pool, inviting everyone with security expertise to join and compete against other competitors to find bugs and get paid for it. When a competition ends, judges validate all the issues and produce a security report. And based on that security report, you have the final leaderboard. And the guys that are at the top places in that leaderboard get a lot of recognition on top of the money, which builds their image and name in this community. The final type of security service that we have are bug bounties. They're very unique because they're the only format that focuses on live code, where contracts are deployed on mainnet. They're accessible to users, and they basically manage money. And how this works is a protocol announces their bug bounty platform. They specifically point what type of vulnerabilities and what type of severity levels they're ready to pay for. And after that, as with competitions, anyone that has the required skill and willingness goes to audit their contracts and submit vulnerabilities and get paid for that. They're the most elite form of recognition if you manage to uncover a critical vulnerability. And after you have a relatively better understanding of how each service works, the next thing I would like to talk about is the so-called security lifecycle of a protocol, which is meant to explain how each of those services fits into the stages of that cycle. So here we have two stages. First is the pre-deployment stage. This is when the development team has fully prepared their contracts and they're looking to deploy to mainnet. So right here, as you can see, in that stage, we have private audits and competitions. I want to make a note on the gap here between private audits and competitions. This is here to show that you always start with private audits. You hire that team of experts to go through your code base, find all the issues in there, help you optimize it, make it more efficient. And only when that's done, you go to competitions. If you do it that way, you will save significantly on your security budget and produce in the end more secure code. After that, after the security competition is completed, you have a final round of private audits that are aimed to do a final review of all the code changes made based on the competition and make sure that you're ready to deploy. And which leads us to the second stage, which is the post-deployment stage, where you can see we have private audits and bug bounties. Here and both the bars, the green and the red one, go up until the end of the timeline, until infinity, which is here to show that those two services, you would need them for as long as your contracts are live and running and operational. You would need, for example, here private audits to review all the code changes that you make before pushing them to production. And then bug bounties, they are meant to be the second layer of protection, meant to catch any issues that manage to slip into production. Another reason that you will need private audits here is to have that team to consult you on the bug bounty submissions and make sure they're valid, and also help you with the code changes that you would make to fix those issues, especially the critical and high vulnerability ones. After everything this that I said, we can conclude that the private audits are the absolute basic fundamental part of the security schedule of any protocol. And this is something you cannot get away with. For example, with the other two formats, competitions and bounties, they can be optional for protocols that are smaller and highly recommended for bigger, more complex, and mainly projects that hold a lot of value. But in the end, they would always go hand in hand with private audits, and this is why they're so important. Next, I would like to do a breakdown of each of the three services and explain what are their exact advantages and where they excel. We start off with private audits. The main advantage here is that you have a dedicated, here the keyword is dedicated, team of experts, which have the main goal of producing the best security service for your protocol. meaning they're interested in making sure those contracts cannot be exploited. It's because they bear the weight of responsibility and put their name behind that audit, which is not the same with competitions and bug bounties, where participants are incentivized by money and not that much about the protocol itself. Another perk of private audits is that you have control over who is doing those audits, because you are the one hiring the team and you know perfectly where your money goes. Also, another great advantage of having a security team is that you get a lot of recommendations on how your code base is structured, how to reduce it in size, how to make it more gas efficient, and overall how to make it more manageable, which are those small things which, once you combine them together, you produce more secure code. Something that you don't get with competitions or bug bounties, where the main focus is only bugs that are impactful. And the last thing is that with private audits, you have the mitigation review baked into that format, meaning that every time you get a report and you do those code changes, you get a follow-up review by those experts that make sure that your changes were made properly and no bugs would slip into production and get exploited. With competitions and bug bounties, you get the security report, but after that, it's your responsibility to hire a security team which should verify that those changes were properly made. And that's a common mistake when not done. Often teams make mistakes and they deploy faulty code and things get ugly. With competitions, the biggest advantage there is that you get a very broad coverage of your code. That's because anyone can join. These are participants with various security expertise, seniority levels, background experience, which ensures that because they have such different perspectives, they can look at your code from different angle and uncover different vulnerabilities, which gives the breadth and depth of the security review, which makes it especially good for code that is complex or very large. And finally, the bug bounties, as we already mentioned, they focus exclusively on deployed contracts, which makes them the only format that is meant to catch vulnerabilities in real time and also fix them in real time before the attackers find them and exploit them. And here, the protocols can control what type of bugs they will pay for and for what type of severity levels, which gives them great control over their security budget, and they know what to expect. And for final words, I would like to point out some mistakes that I would say are expensive, because if not done properly, they will not only cost a lot from your security budget, but they would also lead to code that is not secure enough and that can get exploited. One example here is that sometimes teams deploy code and then use security service competitions without doing private audits, which is a big no-no, because you get all of these submissions and all of these issues, and after they fix it, they don't do a follow-up review, and sometimes it turns out they did not fix the issues properly, which leads to bad code that can get exploited. Another issue is running competitions first and then doing private audits. This is a waste on the security budget, because what you want from private audits is to help you clear all immediate issues and structure the code base better. And only after that, move to competitions, where your goal is to incentivize people to go deep into it, spend a few days or a week grinding only on one single spot and find those deeply nested, hard to find bugs. Another mistake that, for example, relates to bug bounties is that sometimes teams use them as a marketing move, and they end up shooting themselves in the foot. I give an example, some smaller protocols, and that's something I've seen like a few months ago. They launch a bug bounty. They're very confident that their code doesn't have any issues in them because it was covered by 2 or 3 private audits. And because when you launch, when you declare that you're doing a bug bounty, it has a lot of social engagement. This is how you earn the trust of your users, because you show that you care about security and you're ready to continue paying to make sure your code is secure. And then bounty hunters, they submit a critical, which surprises the protocol. They don't have the money to cover the bug bounty, and they ghost the bounty hunter, which has a very bad effect because the hunting community is very small, and word gets out immediately that that protocol is not reliable and doesn't keep up to its promises. So in the end, you have to be genuine and really well prepared before launching bug bounties, and make sure you can cover for the costs that would be related to it, especially if critical vulnerabilities are uncovered. And this wraps up this talk, and maybe in the next minutes, if you have any questions, I will be glad to answer.